Okay, today's Sunday, October 26th, 2025. Oh yeah, look. Okay, I just want to show you. This scaffolding right here. Hey, it's too wobbly. And putting that stuff up there like that, with my limited resources, it proves to be very difficult. But I do it. Even with my tallest ladder, look. Alright, well, one thing is, you got to get the feet and everything where you're going to be, and it's not like a scaffolding where you can like walk on top of it up high. But this is, I got a couple more sheets. I got a sheet right here. Hey, but I just felt the raindrop. But I gotta do the underside, and I got another one over there. Hey, and since I didn't clean out my roller pan, which I have wrapped up in a garbage bag along with the pan and the roller. I didn't clean it out good, so I got some orange. But you know what? That part's gonna be covered up anyway. All right. And I'm gonna come out here before it rains. Well, I felt another drop. I might just have to move some sheets of plywood under a shelter or cover them with a tarp or something. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And I got to get some scaffolding. I can work more securely because I didn't want to fall and hurt myself. Now look, this and then I'm gonna, after I get scaffolding, I'm gonna be able to work better, faster. But look, I was watching Edgar Allan Poe, Buried Alive, full documentary, American Masters from PBS. There's PBS. And look, this guy here. Hey, he's pulling his hair out. And to tell you the truth, man, when I think back about when I was younger, when I think back about it, that's a metaphor of what I feel like on the inside. Pulling, like this. Like, seriously? Man, some of the stuff I did at risk of my own life. And times I could have died. And stuff I did because I believed it was true at the time. And that's how, when you're growing up, and you look back on your life, you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, like, I can't believe the stuff I did or used to do. And why? Or you might look back on a situation of real regret. Like, people make mistakes, man. I mean, one of my friends was roofing a restaurant roof, and they felt papered over the air conditioner cut out, but forgot to mark it. He fell through that hole, broke his back, altered the rest of his life. Another guy, a friend of mine, was in grade school. His dad had a motorcycle shop. Well, I don't know if he had it at that time or what, but He got into a motorcycle accident going around a corner and fell, going too fast around a corner, and then fell and broke his back. And that altered his life. I got stories about all these people too. That's why I'm thinking about them right now, but I can't go into every story that I could tell. I got stories with all these people, and experience. And when I look back on my life growing up, holy crap. Well, look, in my morning contemplations, as I wake up and stuff, because wake up, and like I said before, the algorithm puts stuff up there for me to listen to. And plays it all night long until it goes on pause, until YouTube goes on pause, and then it don't come back on until I say yes, I'm still watching. And so I just was thinking about The Raven because I was watching Edgar Allan Poe Buried Alive, full documentary, American Masters, and PBS recording, but it was only posted a day ago. 106,000 views already. Only been up for one day. I guess PBS is putting stuff on YouTube now. It's pretty cool. Because I was in Virginia, we after I got out of the Navy, we went to the Edgar Allan Poe. Me and my kids, Adam and Amber, and I'm not sure if Isaac was born yet or not, but I don't think he went with us. It was before. Well, Isaac would have just been a little baby anyway at that time. So, that's what it was. He was just a little baby. And so he was with his mom. And I was taking care of Adam and Amber. We went to the Poe Museum. And we went to the river a lot. Like, we only lived, 10 minutes from the river. And we've had a lot of good times on the river. And I went to that river even when I was in seminary. That's when I met the river. And I was in there because chaplain recommended me to wrote a letter to Union Seminary. And they accepted me. And they thought I could be a good counselor. I was interested in psychology, but it's raining out now. Well, I got the painted side up. I could go move it. I ain't too worried about it. It'll dry. Before I paint it again, I can wait. But the thing is, when I look back, I have thoughts. Now it's coming down harder. I don't know if you can hear it or not. I don't know. See, the pressures of life, kind of dictate and push you to do things and stuff like that, and then like I'm taking a walk down memory lane. I'm thinking like, okay, well, when I got out of the military, I didn't have a wife no more. See, I actually got out like just a few it's like a short period of time, a few months or a month. It's maybe 2 months short, but whatever the regulation was, I already had put in enough time to get a full discharge. Like, I already had put in enough time, you know, and served my duty according to the regulations. But they gave me a hardship discharge. They expedited my discharge. And that was after the Gulf War. And that was because I was a single parent now. Okay. And so things happen. And, you know, during the Gulf War, you know, my kids stayed with my mom. And that was because stuff that happened, you know, I don't really have the need to go into now, but the point being is that, you know, like Jackie Benson sings, you know, with or without you, baby, time keeps rolling on. You listen to Jackie sing that, and then you'll get closer to God. Because there's a sense of freedom, you know. You can't be responsible for another person's decisions, and you can't even, and you know, you can't take the weight of anybody, what anybody else does that affects your life. And you might do stuff that affects another person's life, and you might feel bad about it for a long time. But the thing is, this life, you know, teaches us that we live on both sides of the coin. Sometimes we're the guilty party. Sometimes we're the victim. Sometimes it just didn't work out according to plan because we're not perfect. Sometimes, you know, a person can be deluded, or long-term kind of delusions, and also short-term delusions. Like I told you about that one person that, you know, was high on acid and pulled, or LSD, and put their baby in the oven, thought it was a turkey. And there's other kind of ways that your mind can be penetrated. Even the government has studies mind control, and so. But the bottom line of it is proof, like, you know, like to me, and I'm telling you, so you can be aware of this. Okay, and that we're vulnerable, and vulnerable is a word that everybody should understand. And the nuances of vulnerability, because to be vulnerable means you got some weak spots that can be exploited. Okay. And the other way, if you're in conversation and you reveal something that kind of opens you up to against, maybe, like, so you're laying down some of your defenses. Okay, so you don't have to worry about criticism or something like that, you know. And so you say something and a person can say, well, you're being vulnerable, like you're opening yourself up, you know. Like a dog, when a dog lays on its back, like Mr. T. Lays on his back and puts his paws up like that for a belly rub. And Charlie did the same thing. Charlie and Mr. T are a lot alike. I think Mr. T might have learned it from him, or it might be instinctual. And it might be both. Probably is both. And but when you open up your belly like that, you know, That's like you're vulnerable because that's your weak side. You can be stabbed. You can be stabbed in the belly, or an animal can come and bite you in the belly, and that's your weak side. And your back side is your side that isn't. It can take more of a beat than your front side. Your front side is soft. The back side is hard, like a turtle. So that's vulnerability, and there are two ways you can, think about that: being vulnerable, and also that we are vulnerable and we have to protect ourselves. And so the thing is, our vulnerabilities can be exploited, and that's what happened in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Is popular right now, the women, coming out, and these are years later, but it's hard for them to tell their story because, criticism. But the fact is, they were vulnerable and they were exploited. They were just kids, see? They didn't have all their defenses built up and everything. Made mistakes. That's why, like in the court of law, they give leeway for kids, Like, they're not gonna make you have a really bad record, like it's really gonna count until you're after, 16 or 18, one or the other. I don't remember. Well, everything is in consideration, but at a certain point, the records are sealed. Like, it don't matter. Like, okay, like you might have been a real bad kid, but the records up until that time are sealed because you got so much time to figure it out. But if you don't figure it out by the time you're not in that sealed record status, it might be 16 or 18. And it's probably 16. Or it could even be 12. I'm not really sure. But I know that I lived my life early when I look back. I learned a lot of lessons, and I'm in my 60s now. But even before I got to be 30, I learned a lot of lessons. Well, I listened to Edgar Allan Poe, so I wanted to go. Look for, because I have literature books to see if and I think I even had a booklet called Just the Raven, and it was Edgar Allan Poe. I know I have cassette tapes, or no, DVDs. I got CDs. CDs of audio of him, of his work being read. But I got all these books. Okay. Oh yeah, I got a pile of books right here. See? And I'm just gonna go through them for my journal note today. This book right here, that one, Swiss Family Robinson. And see, look, it's got big print. This is the kind of book that I would read like when I was in either like 4th or 5th grade. And I know that so when it comes to my reading life, when I was reading in group reading, sat around and everybody take turns reading. Well, I know I was when I was in either 4th or 5th grade, because in 4th and 5th grade we went from one class to another. They were both 4th and 5th grade was like 2 years of 2 teachers teaching different things. Some for 4th and some for 5th. Like the science teacher, I remember her. My math teacher, I remember her, man. She pulled my hair. I got up and walked out of the school. and I left the class. That was like 4th grade, pretty sure. Well, look. Oh, look, there's even pictures. Okay. And tree planting and tree houses. See, and that's the other thing. Okay, tree planting and tree houses. That's a synchronicity, because yesterday I was listening to Alan Watts talk about A tree is not just a tree. A tree is the wind rustling through the leaves of the tree. The bird in the tree. The bark you can scratch yourself on. Limbs you can climb up and see out. And the sap. You can even make maple syrup from a tree. A certain kind of maple tree. Or a pine tree. It makes sap. And there's a lot of different kinds of trees too. A tree is not just a tree. Tree planting and tree houses. That's one of the first things Swiss Family Robinson had to find out. And I'm just saying, okay, I was thinking, I wanted to find Raven because it's stuff that's written, eloquently, because the lady was saying about, the sad curtains. Okay, so I was thinking about the sad curtains and what all that means. To be talking about sad curtains. And what it is, it's a language between the words, between the lines. One sentence here, a space here, another sentence. In that space right there, there's a secret language. And it can only be understood if you know about metaphor and symbols, and also the cry for myth, symbol, metaphor, myth, poetry, it has a language of its own, and it says something between the lines, and it speaks to a place of wonder and curiosity and imagination of what it could mean. What could this mean? And that's why when you read stuff like this, it brings you closer to God, because that's what God is. God is between the lines. Look, you don't know all the mathematics and everything like that, All science, like what? Oh, here's a couple. Creeds of the church. Okay. Well, the reason we think the way we do about certain things, like about authority and morality and God and inspiration and God like being boss and stuff, well, and actually the church being boss. All right, that's creeds of the church. I had to read this when I was in seminary. I had to study the creeds. Then look, Cabin Trudel, natural cures. I marked this one for some reason. Oh yeah, because look, I just read you some stuff that I had underlined. I got stuff I underlined. Okay, that's stuff I underlined, and this was way back when I didn't even have the same signature. Let's see. Well, I guess my signature's not in this book. But anyway, I've seen one of these books I got my signature, and it's not even my signature anymore. Okay, Association estimates that over 125,000 Americans die each year from side effects of FDA-approved drugs. This book was written a long time ago, because I got this when I was in the seminary. And it's way back in the 90s. All right, early 90s. Okay, and the FDA suppresses the truth about natural cures and focuses on shutting down companies that sell natural remedies for common diseases. That's what he says. Here's another one I got underlined. The FDA has set as a law that there is not and never will be a natural remedy that can cure or prevent or treat a disease. The FDA has set as law that there is not and never will be a natural remedy that can cure or prevent or treat disease. The FDA said that? That they set down in law that natural remedies cannot cure disease? That's a pretty bold, that's a powerful kind of stipulation. I don't believe it. Especially not anymore. This was written a long time ago. I don't know what the laws are right now, but sometimes they're going backwards. Drugs are all dangerous and cause disease, and all the current research shows that drugs are generally ineffective. All natural remedies help the body cure itself. Okay? I think this stuff that I underlined right there, oh, I got more. But I can't read everything I got underlined. Oh, but this one says, look. Look. Okay, so I better read this one. Okay. They don't want you to know the truth. They, quote unquote, use television, radio, newspapers, and magazines, including the use of paid celebrities and paid experts and false and misleading advertising to convince you that drugs are good and natural remedies are bad. Okay. So, that's what it is. Kevin Trudeau, natural cures. See, I thought this guy was kind of like a fake himself. Or an opportunist. I don't know, I should take that back, but something disappointed me about him. I think it was his desire for money. I think he did a memory course that I took. Oh, I remember now. It was like, okay, he had this thing going on where you join in and then he'll send you leads, they'll send you leads, and then somehow, you do something and you make money. Well, I tried it and it didn't work, and it seemed fake. That's where I got the bad opinion about him. But that sounded like, legit stuff. But that was my old signature. Look, Rollo May, The Cry for Myth. See, look, I bought this book a long time ago, and I didn't read it all because right there's my marker. I read one part. I got one part underlined right here. I'll read it. In ancient Greece, for example, when the myths were vital and strong. I just underlined that part right there. In ancient Greece, for example, when the myths were vital and strong. So in ancient Greece, myths were vital and strong. They understood myths. They were probably closer to God too that way. That's what I'm saying. And Swiss Family Robinson. Literature. Okay. But the Raven wasn't in here. But look, I kept all my literature books. And I got more literature books than this. And there's a lot of good stuff in it. Look, a lot of poems. Candidi's in here, and I actually bought the actual book, Candide, like about 5 copies. And I gave one to all my kids. And I think I did the same thing with Utopia. The book called Utopia. Because I think thinking on things at a deeper level is important, and I think that God is between the lines. What's this one right here? See? The cat. The complete guidebook of the cat. And look, there's pictures, everything, all about cats. See, a cat is not just a thing that you can just shoot with a shotgun and kill it because it's tearing up your son's seats in his truck when he left the windows down. That's my next door neighbor. Look, a cat is a lot more than just one thing. A cat is a lot of things. There's a whole book about cats. Right? So how you think? How can you like deduce everything to something that is not? And how can you limit everything to the most basic element just so you can understand it? And it's not that at all. And if you think about it like I do, when I think back on my life and how things went, well, the mind and the brain. This is the last one I brought out here. And this is from look, Time Life. Okay? Time Life. And I had another one from Time Life too, because I bought a couple books from Time Life. Look, this got a lot of cool pictures in it and stuff. Right. And thoughts, elusive currents. The body's autopilot. I don't know what they got all this stuff in here. I haven't read this in a long time. Keys to the brain's guarded sanctum. Alright, look. Let me get another one. Building blocks of the brain. Customized neural circuits. Okay? Your brain has got customized neural circuits. And what fires together, wires together. What that means is, you know, the more you keep doing something, the stronger that connection in your brain will be, and you can do it. You can do it. And the last thing I want to talk about in this note for my journal entry today is transferable skills. Because the more things that you learn about, see, when you learn one thing, okay, you just don't learn one thing, because there's transferable skill that you get from that one thing. You learn that one thing, then you can use that same skill and apply it to another thing. And the more things you keep learning, the more transferable skills you get, and then the more ready you are for the unexpected. Because the unexpected takes everybody by surprise, and it does. That's why they call it unexpected. And the element of surprise. And God takes us by surprise. Life takes us by surprise. A mistake will take you by surprise. And if you do something bad, that will take you by surprise. And you'll never know the ramifications of the full ramifications of the decisions you make. And I still got Quinn's bone, and it's heavy. Yeah. It's not all dried out yet. It's been sitting out there in my driveway, but it's white, and I have lime rock. I didn't see it till yesterday. But see, like if I ever see anybody, you know, hurt one of my dogs, they might not expect me, you know, to massacre their entire family on that count. I'm not saying I would, but if not me, somebody else would. Okay. Life is not easy. Life can be cruel. And that's why, you know, you should treat life kindly and treat other people with respect and try to refrain from fighting Because every time then you fight, somebody does something to hurt you, and then you do something to hurt them back, and then you just going down this spiral, man, all the way to hell. And there's a trap. Okay, so you remember that. Actually, you know what? I'm telling it myself it right now. Because believe me, I could be tempted to actually like do some harm. And then I'd be probably regret it and have to kill myself. But the thing is, for me, you know, don't do that. You know, I mean, but I'm not at that level where Jesus says, you know, if they hit you on one cheek, turn them the other. I ain't there. I ain't gonna be there. I have no intention of actually being that way. But all things considered, you know, I'm still on the Lord's side for the good. So, you know, I'm saying, okay, be on God's side, you know, and where you're going to find God is in between the lines. And you also, to me, more practical, if you read metaphor and myth and symbols and poetry, and you get in touch with, you know, the concept of a tree is not just a tree. And life has deeper and more profound meaning, but it's not like it's hitting you right in the face and the eyeballs, because you got to go a little bit deeper into the guarded sanctum. Okay, that's what it said in that book, the guarded sanctum. That's what I'm going to call this one, the guarded sanctum. Because that's what I'm talking about. Hope you got that. I love you. Bye.